Alright, MTGOntario, it's Fam and Lucas here again for another 8-4 draft. I don't know how many of these we're gonna do in the future because Scars of Mirrodin block for the BSS drafts because, as you guys know, that the pre-release was just last weekend, so we're sort of in this limbo state with Magic Online since New Phyrexia doesn't come out for another month,
May 30th, I think.
something like that. It's gonna be a while, so probably in this sort of downtime, we might do another one of these drafts, but probably try to focus on some kind of constructed videos or something like that. We might do something wacky, not really sure, like some formats that aren't really played in real life but are online. I don't know, we'll think of something. Maybe you guys can leave some suggestions in the comments below. So
Things we're considering are things like Pauper, Block.
Legacy. Actually, I don't have Legacy cards.
Legacy's going to be pretty hard for us to put a deck together, but we could maybe try something. So whatever you're interested in.
Let's get this started. Ooh, this draft has David Kaplan in it.
It also has John Smithers.
Oh wow, this is gonna be a fun. This is an MTGOntario draft here.
Jeez, and look at this pack.
All right.
Talk about bad signals.
I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I only have one Phyrexian Crusader online.
So we're gonna rare draft, and other people might tell you not to do it, blah blah blah. But
look at this pack, Jesus Christ!
I mean, so let's just quickly. So obviously the problem here is that the three best cards are Crusader, Corruptor, and Juggernaut. And then the fourth best card is Morbid Plunder, which is on color with the Crusader, obviously.
Okay, now, if we were drafting at the Pro Tour, or the Day 2 of a Grand Prix, what would you take here?
Breeding Corruptor, not close.
Not close?
I think the Breeding Corruptor is...
way better than the...
Even in the Infect deck, Breeding Corruptor is as good as Crusader.
Yeah.
And outside of an Infect deck, Corruptor is obviously just a million times better, usually.
Okay.
So, I mean, we'll take the Crusader here, because we'd like to build up our...
collection online.
set of... I mean... The nice thing about this is we're almost certainly going to get a Flintermite or a Phyrexian Digester back. It's hard to imagine we don't. If we're absurdly lucky, we might get the
Morbid Plunder back.
The Morbid Plunder, but I don't. People now know that card's absurdly good.
Wow, we get a Spread the Sickness here. There's also the Malaria's Keeper and Viridian Emissary are all reasonable cards, and also Viridian Claw. I like the removal spell here. What do you like? Anything else here?
I mean, power level wise, I think the only card that's close to Spread the Sickness is Viridian Claw.
I like Blister Stick Shaman as a card, but it obviously doesn't go with our plan.
No. I mean, those cards are all fine. Vivisection, Viridian Emissary, Malaria's Keeper, they're all solid Strandwalker, but the problem is they don't go with our plan, and they're just not even as good as Spread the Sickness. And obviously we're going to try to send as best signals as we can, given that we shipped 3 poison cards, 4 poison cards, so...
Yeah, it's going to be awkward. Okay. We don't really have much to go on in this pack. There's a Virulent Wound, which is the best card for us, I think.
Yeah, I think Virulent Wound's also the best card. There's an argument to be made for Scourge Servant or
yeah, but cards like that will come around. Even Mirror Metal is fine, too.
Well, so I have a theory when drafting Poison, and I used to do this a lot when with those Triple Scars format. I was very successful with Poison back then. The thing is, eventually you're going to need to have a certain minimum number of creatures. You cannot play a Poison deck with something like 10 creatures. It just doesn't work.
Really, I thought... Well, I mean, you're obviously not going to play with 10, but I thought 10 was the minimum amount of creatures with Infect that you need to have.
I mean, but... So the point is, if you get to a point, like Pack 3, where you don't have a lot of creatures, and then you see a good spell like Slice and Twain, and you see a mediocre creature like Contagious Nim...
Then you can start taking the...
Sometimes you have to take the Nim if you don't have enough creatures.
Right.
So if you take a mediocre creature here, we're not losing that much. I think we'll try Virulent Wound.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there is a case to be made for mediocre poison creatures. You want to make sure that you have enough. We have two.
Yeah. I see what you mean. And that's a pretty late Rotwolf. That's a nice gift. Just let's take a minute and look at this pack. What signals can we read from this? What do you think is missing and so on?
So, well, we can actually tell that there are 2 uncommons and a rare missing, right?
Right.
So those are the first. So obviously, in a bomb format in a bomby format like this format, like this pack, it could be pretty much anything. There are poison bombs on uncommon. There are Corrupted Conscience, Flame Fiend. I mean, they didn't really leave behind any great commons. So
yeah. The one thing I'm looking at is that there's almost no white cards, or actually there are none. So white's definitely gone from the pack, and there's something to keep in mind. for the person people.
Yeah,
thought, right?
I mean, it's usually it's unusual. It is possible for a pack to have no cards of a certain color.
That is true. Yeah.
But it's unusual, so it's really common that maybe they took a Leon and Relic Water. That seems like a really a pick that we could safely assume they took.
Well, now here are all the white cards. But the only card for us is the Emissary, which is a fine card for us, I think, right? Well, there's also the Flare Husk.
There's a Flare Husk, and I'm sure some people would argue with Signal Pest is unplayable, by the way, guys.
I know.
In any deck in this format, the Signal Pest is bad. Just bad. So, yeah, as Famlo was mentioning, we could take Emissary or Flare Husk here. I'm a bigger fan of Flare Husk, I think, than Emissary. Just equipment's generally good in poison decks because each increase in power is amplified due to the fact that poison kills quicker.
Fair enough.
And Emissary tends to be better in defensive decks where
Right.
they kind of have to attack into it because they're going to lose the long game.
Something like the Dinosaurs deck.
Yeah, whereas in a poison deck, this guy just basically will never be blocked.
Obviously, yeah.
They're just going to take 2 every turn, so.
Fair enough. And, ooh, wow, I can't believe all,
So, there are 3 legit poison cards in this pack. Plague Maw Beast, Plague Mirror, and Phyrexian Digester.
Digester, I'm going to, cross that one off.
Digester is the most mediocre. I actually don't have a huge experience with Plague Maw Beast. I've really avoided poison in this format since it came out because people, I think it's overdrafted on Moto, and the only reason I would draft it is if I open a rare bomb like Crusader or something.
When I was talking with the Japanese about drafting this format, back when it was just this format and they weren't thinking about anything else, they said that Plague Maw Beast is a legit poison card, but the thing is, it's basically a 5-mana creature that does 1 poison. I think that Plague Mirror is probably the best pick for us here.
All right. I mean, I like Plague Mirror. Poison decks tend to get a lot of 4 drops in pack 2 and 3.
Yeah.
There's Blackleaf Goblins, there's Corpse Curs, there's Trigons, there's all kinds of nonsense.
All right, looking at this pack, there's nothing. There's obviously nothing for us. I think this is at a point where we're just going to cut something from somebody else.
I think cutting something, sending a good signal, both of them are pretty good ideas.
I mean, I think cutting a Gore Vassal could be one thing.
Yeah, Gore Vassal is the only card that really scares me here.
Because it can actually kill our creatures.
It's really good against, obviously, Plague Mirror. It's good against Plague Stinger, which is a card that our decks tend to rely on. Bladed Sentinel is actually usually pretty bad for a poison deck, too, to face, but...
yeah, but I'd rather them not be able to kill my creatures than
let's
just
cut it
lock
for
them.
now.
Alright, so we're not really getting too much back from these packs. I'm gonna say, well, what do we not want to play against here? Cost Courier? Is it Forest Walks on us?
Yeah, Cost Courier is probably... what's your experience with Titan Forge? My experience is funny, is every time I play it, I lose. Every time my opponent plays it, they crush me with it.
I don't like it. It's too slow. I mean, there's Titan Forge, Golem Foundry, and even that new one from New Phyrexia. I mean, that one's not probably the best one, but I don't like any of them. I think I'm just going to cut the Cost Courier here.
Alright, I'm okay with that.
We got the Digester back out of that pack.
And that's really bad news that only Digester came back, right? So they
like,
took Plunder, Juggernaut, Viridian Shaman, and Flintermite. Four poison cards. Well, Plunder may not be a poison card. Potentially 4 poison cards were taken, and they were taken over reasonable playables such as Bladed Sentinel. I mean, we don't have a choice. We have to take Digester, but
we made our bed. Whatever. We knew what we were getting into, and we're gonna fight for it. We're gonna fight tooth and nail for it.
Yeah, and hopefully we haven't really passed any good black cards other than pack 1, and we haven't really passed any good green poison cards other than Plague Maw Beast.
Well, anyway, here's our opportunity to cut a Bladed Sentinel. So, I don't. What do you think about the Partisan? If you were playing white, let's say.
I think he's a fine guy. You're not excited to play him, but it's very similar to Sentinel in my mind, except
Sentinel's cheaper.
Sentinel's a little bit of a bonus because artifacts matters kind of a theme. So
yeah. Take the rare. Is it a rare?
It's a rare. It's another terrible rare.
Take the rare.
All right, we're gonna take. I actually don't even know what this does. I think technically the text is blank. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards onto the battlefield. It's the same name as another permanent. Oh, right, so this is like the get a land card in blue.
Yeah, okay.
So, Fam is insisting we rare draft, and I do not disagree.
Let's take the
Rhino?
creature. Always take the creature, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not really afraid of any of these cards, so...
Take the creature. You guys couldn't tell I'm eating right now, so Lucas is at the wheel right now, mainly.
We're following Fam's strategy of cutting creatures. Oh, we have the Kemba's Legion deck just coming together right now. We only have 7 playables, which is a little bit low for pack 1.
True story. At GP Paris, I remember Sammy T's deck was so bad that he noticed one of his opponent's deck was like all artifact like removal bombs. So what he did was he took everything. He took all the artifacts out of his as many of the artifacts out of his deck as possible and brought in a ton of like Kemba Legionnaires to kill his opponents. Well, let's look at this pack for a second, and I'm going to be like, wow.
We are just opening insane poison packs, absolutely bonkers. These are the 2 best poison 2-drops, and poison 2-drops are some of your most important creatures. These are literally probably the 3 best 4-drops
The
for
3
this
best
deck.
uncommons that you can open for your archive.
And Stratascythe is phenomenal as well. So
I'm really torn apart here. I'm going to leave this one to you. You go through your decision-making process, and then I'll tell you what I think.
I tend to overrate Stratascythe, I think, so I'm going to try to leave it on the ground for now. I love Tangle Angler. Tangle Angler has been really fantastic for me, but I can't really argue with Skin Render either. I think they're both better than Slice and Twain in this deck.
I'll tell you that I like any 2 of the 3 uncommons on except for Tangle Angler right now.
Really? So you think
I
Slice
like
and Twain's
Tangle
better?
Angler. I like Tangle Angler a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I think Skin Render is probably the best.
Skin Render is the only card we seem to be able to agree on. I would be
Yeah.
stunned if we don't get an awesome poison card back
Yeah.
here, but it's a little bit unfortunate that everything had to come in
The way it did.
Yeah, the one big burst.
This is an interesting pick. Do we ever need... How many mana mirrors do you want in this sort of deck? We have a Plague Mirror already, which fits perfectly. But then there's like a Lighted Mirror, which fixes our colors too. And then we have a Fume Spitter, which is also really decent value. And Painsmith is also a reasonable card for Infect as well.
I don't like Painsmith. Like, I'll run it in the Infect decks, but I'm not a huge fan. Lighted Mirror, like you said, we already have a Mirror. We don't have the extreme 4-drops that I often find Poison decks have. And I'd rather just take Fume Spitter. We're always going to play Fume Spitter. There are... Actually, it's kind of awkward. In New Phyrexia, there's a ton of X1s floating around that are really, really good. So killing X1s is really important. It's less important in this format, but there's still a lot of Smiths floating around. There's...
But something like Fume Spitter goes up way more in value in the new set.
Yeah, things like the problem in the new set is things like Porcelain Legionnaire and stuff are so broken that...
Alright, Spell Bomb.
So we're being cut in poison, in case you guys haven't noticed, and we're taking mediocre support cards, but... This is kind of why I would have liked to have Angler. Then we would at least have 5 poison creatures. As it is, our count's really low, and we're going to have to start... Oh, thank you.
Thank God.
This is kind of surprising, too, because Corpse Core is pretty much the best poison creature.
Take a minute, look at the pack. The rare's missing, and 2 uncommons are missing.
2 uncommons.
What's the chances someone else opened like a Skin Render, Slice and Twain type thing, plus another like Bomb Infect rare or something like that?
I mean, that's very possible. Untamed Might and Corpse Core are probably the 2 best commons for the poison deck. People will talk about Plague Stinger and Ichor Clawmere and shit like that, but
I value Plague Stinger higher than Corpse Core if they were in the same pack.
No, I think unless you're glutted at the 4-drops, and we're definitely not, Corpse Core is going to win you a lot more games. Just slowly overwhelming them. And Untamed Might too is super important in the poison deck, and I would almost take it very highly. The first one I would take very highly, always.
Its back is reasonable.
I'm a huge fan of Instill Infection. A huge fan.
I am too.
But
we both have the same but. We're lacking on infect creatures. I think Carrying Call goes up more.
And this is where my little speech earlier really starts to kick in. You know, we could take this card's probably better than Carrying Call, but we don't want to force ourselves to have to draft a shitty poison creature in the future over a good spell because we made this pick now. So we'll take
you don't want to have like a Contagious Nymph versus like Grasp of Darkness pick later.
Exactly.
Oh, that's an Ooze. How good is an Ooze in our deck? Bad?
Our Oozes does not really... I mean, it works with Plague Mirror and Fume Spitter. Sometimes if you get a Vector Asp, it becomes okay. But I think Trigon of Rage is excellent in the Poison deck.
Okay.
And I actually think it's better than almost anywhere else. Poison deck is where it's at its
peak.
No,
I definitely agree with that. But, yeah, something about that late pick Ooze. I guess all the black players went Infect, and that's for damn sure.
Yeah, and that's obviously not great for us. Here we have either cutting something or taking a Tainted Strike. I don't think we'll ever play an off-color mirror.
Do we care about a... Yeah, that's what I was saying about the gold mirror. I guess the Tainted Strike would be fine. Like we'll have some random like off.
Yeah, we actually already have 2 dudes who could potentially wear the strike, and actually the Flare has 3 dudes. So maybe this is not an unreasonable pick.
And at the worst, it gets +1/+0. Then you can play random stuff like Alpha Tyrannax in your deck and just get them.
Which equipment is better?
I think. It's arguable. It really depends on curve too. Sometimes it's hard to say. I don't really like Strider Harness because it feels clunky. A Quarter Shield is just as clunky though in the opposite sense. They're both fine. I'm gonna leave it up to you. I'm fine with either one of them.
Yeah, they're both not exciting. We already have 2 equipments functionally, Trigon of Rage and Flayer Husk. I almost never play more than 3 equipments, so I'm gonna take the Quarter Shield because I think it's a better sideboard card.
Holy Jesus! Okay, well, so what was in this pack again? There was a Plague Stinger,
Tangle Angler, Slice and Twain. Those were the big poison cards. There was a Stratascythe, an Origin Spellbomb, and a Limigrid Drake, which all went ahead of them. Which I think those are all fine picks.
So we're taking Ichor Claw Mirror.
Yeah,
right?
I think it has to be Ichor Claw Mirror. You need your 2 drops in poison. You got to stay aggressive.
Okay. I think we cut the Golem.
Yeah, not going to be
paid
playing
to deal with that.
We don't care about any of these cards except the Cavalier. Take a sideboard card.
Why would we ever sideboard that in, though? Think about it.
Sometimes if you end up with a bunch of twisted images, tainted strikes and grafted exoskeletons, you know.
Okay.
It's possible, I think. We'll never be happy about it, but...
I mean, we do have a skin render, so plan B, kill them with damage, could happen.
Unlikely, but possible. We're 16. We need to eke out 7 playables here. It's going to be close. Oof.
Here's a Grasp of Darkness. Here's that situation we're coming up again. It's like Ichor Claw, Mirror, Tumble Magnet, Grasp of Darkness. I mean, there's what's all our Infect opens, honestly. But I think that I think Grasp of Darkness is better than these cards. I just feel like I want more removal. Even if my deck is slightly creature-like, I don't know. It's really tough.
We only have 8 creatures. I would
we
take
have
the
9
Mirror here.
We have to count Carrying.
Okay, we have 9, but I don't count Skin Render. So
I mean,
and we have Skin Render and Fume Spitter, 2 creatures that aren't really. I think we have to take a poison creature. We can't afford to.
I feel like I'm getting kicked in the balls here.
I mean, we have 1, 2, 3 in quotation marks removal spells. But I really don't think we can afford to pass creatures right now.
All right.
We'll see. I'm really hoping Untamed Might comes back. May or may not.
We're taking mediocre 2 drops.
We're taking. It's not a mediocre one. It's fine, but you know, obviously we're just passing insane better cards, Brigade and Hippogriff. So, what you gonna do?
More Infect creatures.
Here's an interesting pick. It's Replica or Blight Mamba, obviously. We don't need another Fume Spitter.
Well, we were just going over this pick before. Do we need, like, Infect creatures or removal spells? Like, I don't even count Replica as a creature. That's basically...
No, it's not a creature. It's not a creature.
Right, like, if we were gonna take something somewhere, I was gonna take the Grasp of Darkness.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 poison. I'm tempted to pick another poison creature.
I think that's fine. Keep on line here. I think the pick is actually between Blight Mamba and Fume Spitter, honestly.
No, we definitely don't need the Fume Spitter. The Replica I find is very good. You want to be able to tempo your opponents both. Well, we have 4 2-drops. Maybe the Replica is correct.
Maybe. Okay, fine. I mean, let's go with that then.
Let's see how this all sorts itself out.
Nothing. Pack full of blanks. We got
pretty much. Battle Gear are, you know, normally things that pump power are insane in poison, but the -1 is so bad in the poison deck when it kills
all your 2 drops.
6 of our creatures, you know, so that's unfortunate. We could take a sideboard card or another main deck card, but...
Let's take the main deck card. It's a card that we need playables, right? So
yeah,
just go for it. We have, like, infinite Blight Mambas. There's this pick again. I think this time we have to get the Infect creature. We have to play a little bit safer here.
I agree, 100%. Oh, this is a card I really like, and it's fantastic with our 2 spell bombs, in fact.
That's pretty nice, actually, yeah.
That's a nice little gift we got. Throne of Gift's really the only card we can play also in this pack, so can't really complain. Alright, here's an interesting pick. Basically, it's between Replica and Grafted Exoskeleton. I find almost any deck that plays Exoskeleton is bad.
Yep. I really hated it. I think it's just like a really bad value card. Well, I mean, it's not a value card at all. But it's supposedly supposed to be like, it's like giving your creature double strike is what people say, but I don't like subscribe to that line of thought. Especially when I get 2 for 1, I just want to shoot myself.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of awkward, but having another non-poison creature actually makes our Tainted Strike playable.
Exactly.
So it actually starts to do things.
and talk about Tainted Strike, but there's another infect creature, so
Yeah.
I just have to take that here.
I think we gotta take it. There's also a Bladed Pinion, but we already have a bunch of equipment.
Exactly right. So we should be fine. Wow, like nobody just likes Blade Mambas. We just keep taking it, or we take a Tainted Strike here?
No, I gotta keep taking. Poison 2-drops are too important to pass. Oh, we're now just gonna hate the cards that obviously could be solved. I don't know which one of these I'm most afraid of. I guess I'm most afraid of the...
Blade Tribe Berserkers?
You want to take cards when you're drafting poison that prevent people from racing you?
Yeah, so we pick that card.
I think Blade Tribe's probably the best at that. This deck actually kind of came together at the end here. I don't want to count our chickens before they're hatched, but I think it's a reasonable. Our equipment are really bad, which is unfortunate. Actually, we have the Trigon Rage, which is a good equipment.
Let's just hope we get paired against like red-white decks all the time. Just crush them with a rare.
The real problem with this deck, and it's really is a problem, is that we have no combat tricks other than Tainted Strike and Virulent Wound, and Virulent Wound's not really a combat trick. The threat of Untamed Might makes poison so much harder to play against than the no Untamed Might. So,
like our only option was, I think there was like a Mirren Medal at one point, and we just decided not to go for it, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we could have maybe done anything that different, but
so it's not the worst. It's definitely not like an amazing deck, but it's all right. We could probably get there. We might run up against the person who has the much better infect deck.
I don't think anyone's gonna have a much better infect deck on us. It's possible, but
because we were all like fighting with each other, so
yeah,
all the decks
I mean,
are
it's
probably on the same level.
The bad part about the unlucky part about our draft is that David Kaplan just submitted his deck literally like 40 seconds into.
It's either amazing
into deck
or
construction.
It's either no. I don't think you can type. I don't think you can type during deck building. Can you? Yeah, no,
Apparently not. I tried to send a taunting text message or whatever message, but we can't do that. It's unfortunate.
All right. So, anyways, I think we need to cut some equipment here.
I'm gonna pull down the cards that I'm okay cutting, basically.
Well, no, just like sort about creatures and spells first, as I would say.
Creatures and spells.
All right, sort about creatures and spells. That's how I like to look at it. We could cut a spell bomb, like one spell bomb, one or two.
No, I'd actually rather run 16 lands, 2 spell bombs, and a mirror than. Our curve is low. It is super, super low,
That's
and
true.
we do not have that much to do with mana other than randomly equip this a quarter shield.
We could cut the Quarter Shield altogether too, which I'm not really a big fan of a Quarter Shield right now.
I kind of like it in our deck. It's going to be good against pingers. It's going to be good against Arc Trail. It's going to be good against our deck is super low toughness.
Okay.
And it's low curve, I think. So I think it actually could be pretty solid in our deck.
Like we gotta cut something, and I don't feel comfortable cutting creatures. That's my line of thought right now.
Well,
because we have 15 creatures with a carrion call. It's like 16, but I think that's like around the number that we want.
Well, but we have 3 creatures who aren't really creatures, right? We have 3 creatures who.
I definitely cut the Moriok replica before the Sylvok replica.
4, 7, 10, 13. We have 13 poison creatures. I think is the right number. I'm actually kind of interested in cutting Tainted Strike. I think.
All right.
I want to keep our artifact count high for Throne of Geth, and I think obviously you're not super excited to Tainted Strike these 2 guys, so let's try it like that. We're gonna get a little bit greedy and run 16 lands, I think, right?
All right.
Would you 8 here, or because we have the 2 spell bombs, would you go 7-9?
I'm the sort of person who would cut a spell bomb for another land. Just because the land, you're getting the land with the spell bomb anyways, except it's just harder to get.
But you get to draw a card sometimes. You can sack it to Throne of Geth.
I hate that situation where you have to like fetch on 2 to get your 3rd land guaranteed, and it's like it feels miserable. But we can get greedy. I'm all for getting greedy here.
So then 8 swamps, 8 forests, or 7 swamps, 9 forests.
Lay it out by color. Color sort. Right click the thing. Yeah, there you go.
I don't like doing it by color because there's some things that are very misleading.
It just helps a little bit, just so you can see it.
In this case, really the only argument is whether these 2 horizon spell bombs.
I mean, you could go 9 9 forest here, but I think 8/8 should be okay because I want to hit double black for Skinrender and for King Crusader on time. So
Alright, we're gonna try.
Okay.
We're gonna try this.
What's our double green card? We only have Telegiphon. Yeah, that's fine. I think we should be okay with 8/8.
Oh,
Whoa,
crap.
whoa.
I misclicked something.
And you're showing people my desktop. All right. Anyways,
That may have to be edited out, but
it's all right.
depends how much child porn is on his desktop.
Submit. Click submit.
I don't know what I even clicked there.
I think you just double click the window frame.
Alright, I'm going to attempt to continue to trash talk fellow Canadian players in this. For those of you who don't know, David Kaplan is an Ontario player now living in, I think, Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. I don't know. He's going to school somewhere in the east of Canada, and he's one of the inventors of Canadian Threshold and top-aided a Legacy GP with Canadian Threshold.
He is the most stubborn person when it comes to playing Legacy decks.
His name is Gooba Fish, and he's in the draft. There's also J Cock N.
John Smithers,
recent GP Toronto champion, and I believe actually this was an interesting story.
Reasonable frequent face on the Pro Tour.
He on the I can't remember, was the first draft or second draft of day 2 of that GP, which was Scars GP. I think he second pick in the draft, Trigon of Mending.
Wow.
That's how much he was forcing his strategies. He said he really didn't like certain strategies. He was really thought that the way to go was to force what he thought was open in the pro level event of a day 2 of a GP. So Trigon of Mending, pick 2, 1 GP.
What strategy was
that?
that?
I have to say, I don't even know, to be honest with you. I think he was avoiding poison. I believe
and he still ended up killing with Skitterix.
His sealed deck also, the day 1 sealed deck, was like the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. It was one of those Sunblast Angel, Horde Smelter, like Masticore concoctions or something, where you just kind of, you know. Not to take anything away from John, it was pretty amazing still to win a GP, but it never hurts to have a fantastic pool.
Okay.
And he might smite us with.
I'm gonna set my messenger status to busy so that people don't keep messaging me, or not messaging me, but I get
so popular, fam.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else in our draft, though. I don't really know anybody's Moto's name. So.
Yeah, but this is actually the first time I've ever had a draft where I knew other people in the draft on a video. There's also Rob Davis, who's also online right now, but he's not in our draft, unfortunately. He's just in the channel. Yeah, that should be interesting.